What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 99. Dylan, we're one episode away from being 100, dude. What's your thoughts on this?
Man, it's went by quick, that's for sure. Especially with like chasing deer and fixing to get back on turkey. So we better get after it before we're chasing the turkey.
Yeah, we got a big episode lined up for episode 100. We mentioned it before, but we're super excited to get that episode recorded. Kind of nerve wracking a little bit, if you ask me. I mean, we get normal guys on here to talk deer hunting with us each week, or turkey hunting, or whatever it might be, and that's awesome. But when you get somebody that's a little more into the limelight, has a big show like that and stuff like that, I wouldn't say I'm nervous by any means, but it's definitely a lot different show-wise than we normally do. I don't normally get butterflies to come talk deer hunting or turkey hunting with somebody, but a little nervous would probably be an understatement.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. This one's going to be a good one because I'll tell you I don't know, I guess I've known Seth quite a while, through mutual friends, and he's one you can always bet on as an opening favorite on opening day. He does pretty well, and I remember when Instagram was first a thing, and you get on there, and that's when everybody posted as soon as you'd get one. And there was one guy that never let me down on opening day of turkey season. That was old Seth. He'd always whack them and stack them and have them up there pretty quick. So I'm excited to hear some of his strategies and the way he chases it, especially now with you doing it with a recurve bow. That's crazy.
It throws a little twist in the ball game.
Mm-hmm. So, for somebody who don't know, you kind of when did you start
guest this week
getting into it? Oh,
yeah.
No, so when did you start hunting? Because as long as I can remember knowing you've always hunted.
I started young with my dad. I mean, 8 or 9 years old, probably with him, when I started really getting into it. And then I probably picked up a bow 11 or 12 to start actually trying to hunt deer with it, and then the last 5 or 6, I probably transitioned more over to longbows, recurves, and it's been awesome. I'll say that for sure. It almost brings me back to feeling like a kid again, for sure.
I bet. So was you predominantly compound bow when you first started, and then that kind of took over?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, Brett's an avid archer as well, so he's not switched over to traditional yet, but I think he's got the itch to do it.
Yeah,
I got the itch to do it, but what made you switch to traditional? Like, hey, I'm going to pick up this longbow or recurve and try to replicate the same thing you were doing with a compound.
My dad, of course, when he started, he hunted with a recurve some, but it never really crossed my mind coming up. I just, it's cool, whatever. And then actually where I work now, I had a guy that he's retired probably 4 or 5 years ago, and he's like, man, you need to shoot one of these. That's all he should have shot. And I was like, yeah, we'll see. And finally one day I went over to his house and shot a few of his, and I was like, yeah, let's try this. And been down that rabbit hole ever since. But awesome. That's probably, like I said, probably 5 or 6 years ago. I picked one up with him, and I don't know how many bows I've owned since then, but it's a lot. That's one thing about the traditional bows. It's you buy a compound and you're like, yeah, I got my bow this year. I probably buy 10 or 20 a year, recurves and longbows, just swapping, trading back and forth. It's bad.
Wow.
So.
That's awesome.
So how much
that don't know you, Seth? Introduce yourself.
I'm Seth Lakin from East Tennessee, born and raised, and like I said, I've just hunted and fished about all my life. It's what I do, Married, got 2 little girls, awesome wife, and she puts up with a lot. But anytime I'm free, I'm in the woods, pretty much.
Yeah, because you do a lot of out of town hunting too.
Oh yeah.
So and to scout and be successful, that takes up a ton of time.
I run all over this state, Kentucky, Ohio, all year pretty much. I mean, it's all year long, something.
Yeah, and you're doing that for deer and turkey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think Brett's. Can you hear us now, Brett?
Am I lagging or something over here?
Yeah. Yeah, you got a little bit of a lag to you. So when you hunt out of town on these different states, are you doing lease? You doing public, private, friends?
A little bit of everything, really. I've got a lease in Ohio that I've had for 12 years, I believe, this year. And then I've got a lease in Kentucky I've had for 5, I believe. And of course, I've leased places in Tennessee, West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, couple permission places in Ohio. I've hunted some public in Ohio. Same for Kentucky, same for here. A little bit of everything, really.
Well, so I know with the compound you have a little more of a reach, so the scouting doesn't have to be as in tune. But some of the videos I've seen of you with the recurve this year, I mean, you were shooting straight down on them. How does the
Yeah.
recurve versus compound affect your scouting?
If I know I'm hunting with a recurve or a longbow, it's 20 yards and in, period. And you got to be in the right tree for sure for that. And I mean, perfect situation, I might shoot at one at 25, but there's too much can go wrong that distance for me with one. You know, it makes you got to really pick an area apart to know where you got to be shooting one. Where the compound, one walks by 45 yards, you're still in good shape. Most people. So you pretty much cut that in half a little bit more. But I mean, if I had to pick, I want them at 12 yards. I want
That's
them
your
right there.
sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
and it's crazy because I just now went back to a compound, and I've got the spot hog, and it's just you dial it to whatever yard, and then it automatically adjusts for you. Um, I feel like going to a recurve would just completely reset and make it super duper fun. As far
Yeah.
as that, now, are you chasing turkey with the recurve?
I have before, and it's not anymore. I've killed a few, and I've lost the last 2 toms I shot. I lost, and it's just I've lost them with a compound many times,
Yeah,
and I've almost decided they're meant to be shot in the head with a shotgun. Period.
yeah, yeah. I
There's
struggle
a
to do
lot can
that.
go wrong with a bow with a turkey.
Oh yeah, and they can see so well. It changes it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had to pick a favorite spot to hunt, where are you picking? If you have to hit one opening day?
Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been good to me
Yeah,
for
you've killed
sure.
some studs there.
Yeah,
Brett, do
I've
you
got a
hunt?
really good place there.
Brett, do you hunt Ohio?
I hunted Ohio, I think in 2021. I tried it. I killed here early, mid-October, so I had, what the best time of the year. I prefer to deer hunt and bow hunt the end of October. And so I decided to try it. I went over there and hunted northeast Ohio on some public land. And I got some crazy stories about Ohio when it comes to public land. I kind of got a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know if maybe I just did the same research
Yeah.
as everybody else did and
Yeah.
landed myself with 50 other people on not that big of a property. But I hear good things about Ohio. I've never got to hunt private land there. I want to go back and hunt there. It comes in before Indiana, so I'd get a little bit of a taste at hunting, before Indiana opens. Kind of why I like going to Missouri or Kentucky. But Ohio, I mean, you see what comes out of there. I mean, there's no hiding what they got over there. I mean, just like Indiana, I feel like, except for the terrain may be just a little bit vastly different there in certain areas than here.
Mm-hmm. Ohio can be a madhouse on public.
Oh, it
When
was
you
crazy.
get into that late October, early November, you're gonna have some company. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've told this story on the podcast before. Went back what I thought was deep. I'm sweating and like, man, I found rubs. I found some scrapes. I'm like, I'm in it to win it here, boys. Get up, set it in the stand, and I can hear somebody talking, and I'm like, what is going on here? and it just keeps getting louder and louder and louder. So I know somebody's coming up, and I'm like, all of a sudden this person's screaming, Danny, where you at? And I'm like, what is going on? This guy come right down this ridge to me with a crossbow in his hand, just yelling at the top of his lungs. I don't know if he caught me on a trail cam or what, and just decided to make me not have a very good day or piss me off, one of the two. But I come through there screaming and hollering, and he finally took off out of there. And about the time he did, it was dark, so I just moseyed on back to the truck. It was pretty crazy. And it was a place where you could tent camp and stuff for free. They had free camping and stuff like that. And I went on like a Monday, and I'm like, there's probably not many people here. I'll have a good time, have a little bit of to myself compared to a weekend where everybody doesn't have to work and stuff like that. Nope. There was 30 other trucks. They had like a whole camp going. I mean, there was 15, 20 guys. They had the big like elk outfitter tent set up with the bonfire and everything going. I'm like, man, these guys do it up big. I'm over here sleeping in a tent, freezing my ass off. But it was pretty crazy. It was definitely eye-opening, that's for sure.
Yeah. The last 3 to 4 years for me, at least up there, huge difference in the amount of people. Huge difference. And I would say it was crowded before, but yeah, the last several it's been. What's that?
What about Kentucky for you? I know I've seen your pictures of some velvet bucks and stuff like that. How you hunting public there or private or what?
Those have all been from at least I've got, but I've hunted some Western Kentucky in the past public. And I would say the same. I don't have as much experience there as far as different places on public, but it's pretty crowded too.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure you get places like Daniel Boone, a little rougher. You're not going to have as many people, but there's still going to be guys there.
Yeah. I've hunted Northern Kentucky on public, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in a row. Didn't get there this year. Still looking for that first velvet buck for myself. But there's some years we go there and I don't see anybody. And then I go back and, the next year and I see 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
Maybe the weather has something to do with it, or, I know they pushed their season back to like that Monday now. So maybe not get as many people there for like a Labor Day weekend type of hunt.
Right.
Yeah, I thought the velvet hunt here was hot, but I know in Kentucky when they kick open, it's you better have ice with you if you shoot one. Because when we shot that one here, I couldn't believe how fast the Yellow Jackets came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
While we were trying to field dress that thing. Have you killed a Tennessee velvet?
Nope.
No.
That's one that I've not had any luck with.
Okay. Yeah. So I've seen a few of your velvet bucks. I wasn't for sure where they come from.
Yeah. I've hunted them, but not being a bait state, and I don't have any places with food plots or anything. It's about a shot in the dark, really, unless you've got acorns dropping right then, which it's kind of on the edge of when they start here. It's been pretty tough for me. I've tried, but it's not happened here.
Yeah, that big one we shot, I'd never seen him before on the farm, and I figured it's because he was summer. This is just his summer range, and I told him, I was like, dude, we've got to get him before he shifts his pattern. And luckily, I mean, it was trail cam done it for us. Really, is what it came down to. But I think that if we'd have waited, he would have been gone. We wouldn't have seen him potentially. So we've had one good season out of the 3. Last year I had him pinpointed. Brett came down. He had a couple small ones come through, and then we got a little too rowdy one night, and we missed the morning hunt, and that's when they went through there. So you know how that works out.
Oh yeah, it happens.
But it's been nice. But kind of get you out early.
Mm-hmm.
To what, Brett?
I was always told by some older cats down in Kentucky that they didn't even morning hunt early season like that. They always just stuck to evening hunts. Is there any merit to that?
I know a lot of people like that. Won't even fool with it in the mornings. But I'm gonna hunt either way. I killed that one this year opening day in the morning up there. He was hard horn. He had a lot hanging off his bases, but he was stripped clean other than that. Now the buck that was with him was full velvet, perfect. But, and then I killed one 3 or 4 years ago up there, the biggest one I killed up there. And I'd never had a picture of him, didn't know he was there. Just I was hunting. I was going to shoot a doe, anything, because when they open, everything's open. Doe, buck, whatever. And I had a guy with me. Actually, I had a broke foot, and my buddy went with me. He's like, "Let's just go shoot a doe or something." I said, "Okay." We ended up 130-something inch velvet buck across the creek right in front of us. Walked by it 15 yards, shot him. Didn't even know he's there. No pictures, nothing. So that was a wild luck one right there.
Yeah, with a hurt foot.
Oh yeah, it was a disaster hunt. Really, it was kind of it's wild, but it worked out.
So how did you climb? Was you in a saddle?
We were in a ladder stand. Well, I was in a ladder stand. He was in a saddle behind me. So
that's brutal,
I was in a walking boot. And it had just rained. He dropped me off pretty close to the tree on the 4-wheeler, took it down, parked it, come back, and yeah, we got it done that evening.
Yeah, that's dedication.
Yeah. I broke my foot a different time and my leg in high school, and I hunted opening day here on crutches with a climber. So I'm going to go. If it's open and I can, I'm going.
I don't blame you one bit, buddy.
That's die hard. Yeah, like I said, man, you've always been one that when I'm scrolling, I can count on to, check in with, because, and it really, like you said, as much time that you have off, you're spending on the road traveling, and putting the work in to get it. But now you've got the 2 little ones. So I've seen you have them out a little bit. So tell us a little bit do they love it as much as you do?
Well, I'm working on them, I've not pushed it on them at all, really. If they want to go, great. If they don't, it is what it is. But my oldest one's been, my little one's not been. She's still kind of on the fence about it. She's not big on guns, anyways.
Yeah.
So my oldest one, she's got some luck tied up with her. She went turkey hunting with me before she actually started, and that's actually one of the birds I lost with the recurve. I mean, we hadn't been there 15 minutes. I called 2 in, shot one full strut facing dead away from me, like pretty much right in the butt where you'd want to. Couldn't tell you what happened. Don't have the bird though. And then she deer hunted last year with me, killed 2 deer, first time in the woods. And then she turkey hunted with me last spring, killed a turkey first time in the woods. So she's had a lucky streak for sure.
Well, if anything keeps a kid coming back, it's that right there. Getting that excitement, getting it done.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah, my little one, she's eat up with it, but she's about 30 minutes and she's ready to roll.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Her first turkey hunt, we got pretty lucky. Like I said, we weren't there any time, and she got to witness that, and then luckily we got pretty lucky on both her first deer and her first turkey. So she definitely had some action, that's for sure.
Yeah. So here's a good question. Why haven't you started filming yet?
I just take the GoPro on the head. That's it.
Yeah. It's hard, man, to self-film, but it's also hard to take a camera guy. I feel like, if he's not on the same level you are, he could bust you out of there pretty quick.
I've just got a GoPro the last couple of years, but I mean, it's been great, really. I got it, and I got a head mount for it, and I take it every time I remember it. I mean, that's about most of the time I've got it with me, but I don't remember it every time. So, but it does a good job. I mean, enough to where you can see what's going on. It's definitely not YouTube quality or anything, but I've got several kills with it on video.
Yeah, I've played around with it just a little bit. Luckily, Brett, he's got the real setup. So we chased turkey last year with the setup, and it was kind of it throws a different element into it, trying to get set up and get hid as much as those turkeys can see. And then
Oh,
when I went up, when I went up with him and killed that one in Indiana, we could have filmed all kinds of deer, man, but we just was, zoned in. And then luckily, if we'd have moved the camera arm, we wouldn't have been able to get it back around on that buck. But yeah, I want to do it. But then again, when I'm setting myself up, I'm like, I'm just going to try to kill one today and not have to stress about it,
Yeah, that's me. I'm the type, even if I did and the camera's not on them, I don't care. I'm
still
shooting.
smacking.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Brett's a little different though.
Point where you just get used to doing it. It's almost second nature to me now. Turkey's not so much. That's why I bought that monopod stake this year for turkey hunting. But just filming in general drives my passion even more in the outdoors than I'm crazy with it anyways. But me wanting to put everything out there, not just, I don't need likes and subscribes and all that stuff. I have so much fun being behind the camera and capturing what everybody sees with their naked eye and putting it into a lens and then editing it all together and showing the weekend that we've had here or a turkey hunt there or a camp here or whatever, and putting it out there for people to see how we enjoy things. Man, I love the shit out of it.
Oh, I get it. And then you've got it to look back on, years from now. Your kids look at it years from now. I get it totally. I've not dove into that yet. I'm sure it'll come eventually, but right. for now, the GoPro's doing pretty good for me.
Oh, for sure. What about, scouting these properties that you have out of state? I know, you're probably several hours from everything. How do you stay on top of all that on these properties that you hunt?
All the time. Like I said, it's all year. Like I'll be shed hunting in the next month and a half, walking. This snow we got recently, I've been walking all over at the house, just backtracking these deer, seeing what they're doing, trying to figure them out. You never really do, but every little bit helps for sure. And like I said, I was in Kentucky last weekend. I hunted there they closed the 20th, I believe, Monday. So I was up there the last weekend. They had probably 6 inches of snow on the ground still. And then it snowed on us Sunday morning, probably 2 inches. And that just shows everything. I mean, you can see every deer track out there, where they're going, where they're bedding.
Oh, for sure.
That's key right there. I like scouting right after season when you can still see all your sign from the year, scrapes and all that for the green up. But don't get me wrong, I'm scouting in too, but I like being able to see historical sign from what happened last year to go off of for the next most of the time.
Yeah, I got into journaling a few years ago, and just got like a journaling app on my phone, and wrote everything down: barometric pressure, cloud cover. I mean, every little detail that I could get while I was sitting there. And you wouldn't believe. I mean, you would probably believe, but a lot of people wouldn't believe. Like I went back and checked because I had like 4 years of data that I could go back. And it was at this one particular property, damn near the same thing happened all 4 years, almost to the date, sitting there and everything playing out just like it did the year before.
Yeah. Cameras are huge for that for me too. I mean, I'll leave cameras up February, March, and then you can bank on if you've got a special day in Ohio or you've got a lot of pictures this date or, certain weather around that same date, it's going to happen again the next year and the next year and the next year. And then you'll notice too, deer will start using a spot in, say, late November. You get a lot more activity. You just use that to your advantage next year. They're going to do the same thing 9 times out of 10. When you see a pattern in an area around that time, you can bank on that happening the next year or the next.
So, like you're up the pieces that you're hunting in Ohio, is there like any ag with it? Is it rolling hills? What kind of lay the land out a little bit?
It's a lot like here, actually. It's not what most people would think of Ohio flat, crop country. It's a lot of big, steep hills. It's southern central Ohio and a little bit of southeastern Ohio, which I don't know if y'all have ever been to Wayne National or Shawnee. It lays a lot like that. The closest
I've been to
crops
Wayne
to
a
us are
couple times.
probably 5 or 6 miles away. So it's all just big timber, clear cuts, big timber, which is what I like hunting. I like being in the hills with having terrain. I'll hunt flat land, but I'd rather be in the hills for sure.
Right. Dylan wasn't quite used to those them flatlands when he got here in Indiana. I
Yeah,
think that's the first thing I said on the YouTube video when he got out of the truck. How you like that flatland, bud?
it's it's different for sure. It's
It
not
is.
where you to, is it, Dylan?
It's going out west to duck hunt. You don't pay no attention to it being flat.
Yeah,
You're not looking for those pinch points or whatever. You're focused on duck. So when I got up there and I was like, okay, I'm in deer mode, I started looking around and I was like, oh, well, I guess we're going to be in that patch of woods because that's the only patch
yeah,
until you get, a mile that
yeah,
way and it's another patch.
yeah. And you can see it.
Yeah, it was crazy. And, I play with the leaves a lot. The leaves will let you know something's coming. They're just in the fields. There's no,
Mm.
get ready, here they come. So it was a little bit of a adjustment, but we got it done and I had a blast. But uh, when I went to Ohio, we had a run in with the Amish. They were doing like a deer drive, and
Hmm.
they scared me to death. Like I was freaked out. I was like, yeah, now I'm not doing this again.
I guess you were gun season up there.
Yeah, I think it was. I think we had muzzleloader. I was young, I was in high school, and
Yeah.
they were like, "Get ready, here they come!" And they were beating pans and
Oh yeah.
raising cane, dude. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
shot out here by an Amish guy."
The first few years I went up there, and which they don't drive deer here, hardly anybody does, but I was like, what is going on? I mean, just piles of people pushing deer up there, which I don't see it much lately, last couple of years, but the first few I was on it, for sure. It's
Yeah,
like a
it's not
national
really a thing.
holiday up there.
Yeah, it's not really a thing around here either. So uh, I hear people talk about that all the time on podcasts and shows and stuff. And I've never, I mean, I've been a part of a couple, but it was like the last day of gun season, and me and a couple buddies knew there was a shitload of does bedded in this one woods, and one of us had a gun and the other two people did not, and they pushed the deer towards the guy on the other side of the woods, kind of deal, just trying to
Yeah.
scrape some deer meat out of it. But I can't
Last
imagine
ditch
having
effort.
30, 40 guys.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't do it for me, but I mean, to each his own, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big thing up there to some people.
Yeah,
What
I'd rather
about
just wait.
sorry.
No, I was just saying I'd rather wait and catch them transition or move, uh, hunt them without them knowing I'm there instead of on a frantic
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
For sure.
Shooting and praying.
Hmm.
Yeah. What about scent control? Are you a scent control kind of guy?
I have been, yeah, but no, not in the last several years at all, really. I mean, I wash my clothes scent free. I don't try to keep them stinky or anything. I'm not washing them in Tide, but I wash them in scent free stuff and try to hunt the wind best I can. I've
Would
tried
it
it
be
before, and I've went through the whole washing them in dead downwind, spraying down, cleaning in it, and to me, I can't tell a difference. You know, I get it if you
right?
want to. It's all a confidence thing, honestly, in my opinion. Whatever
Yeah.
whatever makes you feel confident, go for it. But and then
I
hunting the wind when you got hills and hollows and stuff, it's tough sometimes depending on your terrain. They'll call for one thing and you get there and it's like completely opposite, or it's shifting all morning, all evening. So I just do the
especially in
best I
the
can.
especially in the hills and hollers like that, you probably
Yeah.
get a lot of swirling too and all that.
Yep. Yep.
I asked that question a lot at when I first started this podcast, um, and I think I've gotten more no's than I have yeses. which is,
Mhm.
I wouldn't say crazy. Maybe if you'd asked me 10 years ago, I probably would have said that's crazy. They don't, they don't try to do nothing. I know guys that don't give a F or whatever. They don't care about scent control, period. And these guys
Yeah,
are killing absolute giants. And I've seen some of the pictures of the deer you're killing with recurve, so I know they got to be close.
yeah. Like I say, I think it's a confidence thing. I mean, but to me, if you've got a mature deer downwind of you, you're not going to beat his nose, period. Now, I've had setups where they'll be downwind and I'm high enough on a bench or something and in a tree that your wind's going over them. I've seen that many times, but a deer straight downwind of you getting your scent, I don't see you beating it with scent control, but to each their own.
Right. What about any kind of dream hunts you have out there? Some hunts that on the
Oh,
bucket
yeah.
list?
Yeah. I thought it was going to happen this year, or well, last year, I guess. We're in a new year now, but I was looking to draw Iowa last year. We went into it with 4 points and actually went and even scouted it last March in pretty high hopes we were going to be there this fall, but we didn't draw it. So now we're looking at going back hopefully this March, maybe February, and for sure drawing it this year. We should anyways. So that's
Yeah,
always been a bucket list for me, and I'm looking forward to that for sure.
yeah, me too. I think I'm 1 point behind you. I think I'm going into my 4th point, and I think I'm going to go ahead and wait another year. I don't know exactly what zones you're trying to draw. I don't even know what zones I'm trying to draw, really. I'm just stacking the points up until I get somebody that I wouldn't say that I can link up with. Somebody that wants to go with me and do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got one
Yeah.
buddy. He's a point behind me, so I'm kind of letting him catch up a little bit and then trying to draw that southern to south central zones right in there
Yeah.
somewhere.
That was my plan. I was going to try for 5 or 6, but I think we're going to go for zone 9 now. Just kind of, I know some guys that have some experience up there, and they've kind of helped me on some tips and leads, and that's where we went and scouted actually as well. So we're going to try it there, and hopefully it lives up to the name,
Oh yeah, for sure. What kind of approach would you take to Iowa? Would it be like a thing where you go back multiple times, or would it be something where you're like, I got a week and a half to get this done. I'm going all in right now.
My plan for right now is probably 2 weeks, probably the first 2 weeks of November, in that time frame. It might be late October into first couple weeks of November. Plan on 2 weeks for sure. And if it doesn't happen then, I probably don't need to spend the money and burn more vacation and go later, but I probably will if I need to. If I'm gonna draw it and I don't get it done then, I'm probably gonna try again at some point. So I don't know what time of
I
year
thought
that'll
about
be, but go ahead.
I thought about trying to find like an Airbnb or somebody that had some kind of like rental house or something like that. Maybe even just rent it out for the month and just go when I can.
Yeah. Which you're probably quite a bit closer than me. It took us right at 13 hours to get there.
Yeah, it's
So
not too much different from me.
we're committed when we go,
Yeah.
We went for 3 days, I believe, 3 or 4 days in March. And you can pretty much a whole day you're going to be driving and recovering from that drive. So
Yeah.
you got to get out there and boots on the ground. I think we were walking 10, 15 miles a day, all day long, running around different pieces, looking around, talking to people. So
Yeah.
I think we walked 5 or 6 different pieces of public and got pretty lucky, in my opinion. I didn't have high hopes of getting any permission places out there just because the way things are now. And I think we ended up with 2 for sures and 1 maybe on permission places that are pretty big. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. We kind of fell into one of them. I talked to one guy just getting permission, hopefully trying to get permission to go through his place to enter the backside of a piece of public. And he was like, well, you can just hunt on me if you want to. And I was like, say less, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't threaten me with a
So
good time.
yeah, they at least he did. He's like, I want the deer killed. He said, if you'll shoot some does, and I was like, I think we get one doe tag, but there's three of us, so we're definitely not opposed to that.
What about when you travel like that? Are you using a climber or saddle or lock on with sticks? What are you rolling with?
Lock on and sticks 9 times out of 10. I've got a saddle set up and I've tried it. To me, it's just not what I prefer. I can do it for sure. I'll take it 2 or 3 times a year. Setup provides it, and other than that, it's lock on and sticks. Now every now and then gun hunting, I'll climb with a climber, but like I said, most of the time it's a lock on and sticks or a lock on and I use a tree hopper drill and bolts a lot. So that's my preferred setup.
I've ran the saddle setup a lot here in the last couple of years, but there ain't nothing like running with a light locked on setup and some sticks.
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
got the XOP set up with the X2 sticks. I think. I mean, they're just stupid lightweight. You just got to figure out how to all pack it together with camera gear for me and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes saddle hunting can be a little easier because it's just a little less bulky walking in the woods.
Mhm. Now I do take that saddle. I mean, I use the saddle every hunt as my harness, really. But I'm in a lock
Yeah.
on. But need be, I mean, I can step around a tree and shoot out of it. But I've grown to like it a lot better than just a straight harness. So I guess you do say I take it with me. So
Yeah, it's a lot easier to get them sticks hung and the that
oh
lock
yeah,
on smacked on the tree with that saddle.
yeah for sure. It's got its place, and I mean I
That's
know
how I
guys
set
that
up
love
all
it.
my stuff here. Is
Yeah, I mean I've got a lot of buddies. That's all they use. They're all about it. To each their own. To me, I feel like I moved all the time. It's kind of
yep,
tough to shoot out of for me, especially the recurve or a longbow. Even a compound, really. I
yeah,
mean, I shot some out of it, but it's I don't know. Whatever floats your boat.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm still running
You know,
a Summit Climber, man, and I'm having to lug that sucker in there. I
Mm,
get my workout in,
yeah,
that's for sure. Like I'm like, dang, yeah, you gotta want it,
yeah.
to lug that. So, but that's what I'm comfortable in. I hunted with Brett on that lock on, dude. Now you talk about, I was holding my harness, I was holding on to, I was moving around, I was holding everything, dude. It freaked me out
They get the job done, just like
for sure.
anything. Like I
Yeah,
said, it's a confidence thing. Whatever you're comfortable with, you're gonna do better
hmm,
using what you're comfortable with.
yeah.
absolutely.
You need to try a lone wolf climber though.
Um, yeah, those are freaking nice.
They're
I've heard
nice.
they are, and
I
super
don't know about
light.
the new ones. I can't afford the new ones, but I've got several of their older ones, the cast
Right.
platform ones.
What about when you do shoot a compound bow? What compound bow are you slinging?
I've got a RX-7 Ultra right now, Hoyt, but I've shot Matthews, Elite. I've shot a bunch of them too. But I like the Hoyts right now. Last couple of years, that's all I've shot, is that RX-7 Ultra. And before that, I was pretty much a new bow every year guy for no reason. It's silly, but I was. I've shot a bunch of Matthews, bunch of Elites, but and they're all good.
If you had to pass some knowledge down to somebody just getting into deer hunting, what the tip you'd give somebody new in?
As far as finding them, setting up, and as that goes, or what?
Just anything in general?
To me, it's just you got to spend time in the woods. I mean, you can watch videos, you can listen to this guy or that guy, but you've got to get out there and figure out what's working for you. To me, and like I said, confidence is a big thing. If I'm confident in a spot, I'm going to sit there longer. If I'm confident in that bow, I'm going to make that shot. If I'm trying this and trying that, and changing everything up all the time, it doesn't work good for me personally. You got to find out what works for you. Put your time in the woods, whether that's scouting, hunting, and it's going to happen eventually. That's my biggest thing. You got to spend time in it, you know. And don't get me wrong. I mean, listening to what people got to say and watching videos, all that's good. But you're going to find 25 different opinions on how to do everything out there, you know. Figure out what works for you and get confident in that.
Yeah, there's with all these podcasts and YouTubes and all that shit.
So I think he's lagging on us. So how often are you shooting that recurve?
It depends on time of the year. Really, a lot of people are probably different, but like when season comes in, I don't shoot much at all. You know, I'm hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll shoot a lot of times when I'm in the tree before I get down or something. I'll shoot a shot at a leaf or a stump, something, just to kind of keep me on my game. But leading up to season, I try to shoot every day. Used to I did, but you know, life happens. You get kids, work gets in the way, everything. I just shoot as much as I can, and that's a big thing with it for me. As far as shooting a recurve or a longbow, I've got to shoot it. If I'm not shooting it a lot and I don't have the confidence in it, it's no good. As long as I'm shooting, I have my confidence up in it, I'm great. But
yeah, because it's a lot of muscle memory, right? I mean, I've shot them, but I've
yeah,
never really like honed in on it. So are
yeah.
you in that moment? I bet you really don't. You just letting it go.
Yeah, it's like second nature, really. But like I said, I've got to shoot mine a lot, and as long as I'm doing that, I'm good. I can tell, like towards the end of the season where I haven't been shooting, I start to get a little bit rusty, and you know you got to get back in the swing of things. And of course, soon, a couple months, 3D season will be pretty heavy, and I try to shoot quite a bit as far as 3D shoots in the summer and stuff. And of course, that helps. Every bit of that helps you in the woods, you know, because putting pressure on yourself is a big thing for me. Like 3D shooting, quite a bit of pressure depending on where you're at, and all that plays into your deer hunting. Anything you can put on you helps you. Because at least for me, when it's time to kill something, shoot a deer, whatever it may be, that's a lot of weight on you. It'll shake you up for sure. But
Yeah,
every time,
I've seen you do those shoots, man, and there's always a group of you. So
oh
I'm
yeah,
sure you're wanting to be top,
oh yeah,
top
got to be
with it.
competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps a lot. I would recommend that to anybody. It's gonna hunt and get into bow hunting. Shoot 3D, shoot competitions, because it helps for sure.
Yeah, seeing you guys travel around and kind of do that, that's really what, because I can shoot bows all day long. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and with a compound, 15, 20 shots in, you're not feeling so, your shoulder starts to feel it just a little bit to where I'm sure with your longbow recurve, you can get a lot more reps out of it.
It depends on what you're shooting weight wise. I mean, you can shoot lightweight bows and shoot them all day long, or you can get a 60, 65 pound recurve or longbow, and you ain't gonna shoot that all day long. I promise you.
No.
But
how much are you shooting?
it depends. I've got bows from probably low 40s right now up to 56 pounds maybe, which is pretty heavy for a recurve or longbow, depending on who you are, you know. But I mean, in a hunting bow, you're not going to be shooting it all day long at a 3D shoot. So, I mean, some people do. I've tried it. It'll wear you down for sure. But that's about as heavy as I want to shoot in one, you know. Because that's the thing, when you're shooting a compound, you might shoot a 70-pound bow, but with your let off, you're holding 12, 15 pounds at the back wall, you know. Whereas with a recurve, it's the whole time. You got that weight on you. So,
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I've seen some people get the compounds back and then go to let down, and it whoop them.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
It snags you fast.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
for this
Go ahead.
upcoming turkey season, is that kind of like, are you turkey hunting it? Like you said, you still looking for deer and all these spots and sheds.
Yep.
So do you find a lot of sheds?
Yeah, I find a lot of sheds during deer season. Honestly, I'll find them all year long, really. I found them during the summer, green. And of course, I find them during the time to shed hunt, but I found them deer season. I found them all year, really. Of course, you find them outside of first a little bit after they drop, they're probably going to be chewed up or bleached or both. I found them in all kinds of shape.
Yeah, I've only ever found them. I found one good one time during turkey season. It was really odd. We'd hunted there like 3 weeks, like opening weekend, and we seen him still with them on, which was crazy to me.
Yeah.
And then like 3 weeks later, we walked in there and right the same trail he was using, he dropped one. I couldn't find the second one, so I don't know. But we had a goblin bird, so we wasn't too keen
Plans
on it.
changed.
Yeah. But I never have luck with it, man. I don't know if the squirrels are just getting them before I do. I know where they're bedding. I mean, I'm all over them, but I find more deadheads.
It's tough. Depending on your terrain too. I mean, shed hunting in big woods is a lot tougher than, cropland, fields, and flatland. To me, it's a lot tougher to find them in. But I mean, I found them looking for them. I found them not looking for them, just walking right up on them turkey hunting or scouting, whatever. And then I've spent 2 or 3 days at a time strictly shed hunting and don't find anything. So it's luck of the draw, I guess.
Yeah. So do you have any want to do the elk hunt or anything like that out west?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to kill elk with a bow, but I just don't have. I've got a couple of friends that have done it. I've just not had it line up to where there's a trip planned with the right people. I don't want to go out there just blind. I mean, might have to at one point, but I'd like to go with somebody that knows what's going on or where we're headed. I've just not embarked on that adventure yet.
Yeah,
But it's definitely on the list.
The walking is the only thing keeping me from doing it right now, because I had some buddies go, man, and they were like, 18 miles in, killed one, packed it out, then back in, packed it back out, and I was like, I'll stick to my deer.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to draw it here or Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you wouldn't get the, I guess, out west elk hunting adventure, but it'd be pretty neat to draw. Your luck here doing it pretty slim. I think Kentucky draws a few more, but it'd be pretty cool. Say you drew one of those tags here, close to home.
And they've got some big ones running around.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
have we lost our buddy there?
Do what?
Have we lost our buddy there?
Yeah, he's lagging a little, or he's having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, I'm having some technical difficulties tonight for some reason. It's never happened to me before, but tonight's the night, I guess.
It's all good.
So yeah, man. No, I know that I've got a spot that is super close to a turkey spot that you had. When I worked at AT&T, I actually went to this lady's house, and there was turkeys strutting, out in the backyard, and I had talked to her, and she had told me, she's like, yeah, I don't mind if you come and hunt, and I was like, yeah, and she was like, yeah, there's this other boy, he hunts it, and I was like, well, who is it? And she told me it was you. I was like, no, I said, I appreciate it, but I know him, and I was like, a spot like this, you don't come in on somebody, especially somebody And dude, I actually ended up getting a farm like 5 or 6 houses down, and I done pretty good there. But I'll tell you off camera where it's at, because dude. It's a great spot. Sometimes if I'm riding around, I need motivation, I'll drive by there because I see them out in her field all the time. But
yeah, keep that low key.
Yeah. No, I did. As soon as she told me that, I was like, no, it's safe here, But now I do want to run us through the buck you shot in Tennessee. That was like, I think it was like 3 years ago. He had like stuff everywhere.
Oh yeah, that's a wild deer right there. I knew of him for 3 years before I killed him. Had pictures of him since I think he was. I take that back. I'm pretty sure I had pictures of him 5 years before I killed him. I'm almost certain, as a mainframe 8 with a big kicker, right where he kept it. I didn't have pictures of him the next year, and then 3 years before I killed him, I had him all over the place. Tons of pictures of him. And he had that same point off his base, but this side went wild that year. But he still had that big kicker right off his base. And I think he was a 3-year-old the first year. So that would have put him at probably 8.5 when I killed him. And the last 3 years that I hunted him, I had like 4 different spots right around this one ridge. And I'd have him on camera at one of them. Then you might not have him for 2 weeks. And then he'd show up on the other side. And then he'd show up at the house. Just couldn't tell you where the deer lived. No idea. And he did that for 3 years. The only time I ever laid eyes on him, I saw him when I got off work the year before I killed him, at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm guessing he was after a doe. He just darted across the road, went in the thicket, knew for sure it was him, hunted him like crazy. And the year I killed him, I spent quite a bit of time, and I think killed him November 27th. And he did the same thing all 3 years. I had him on camera. He'd show up at one, disappear for 3 or 4 days, show up on a different one, disappear for a week. And then I actually went in, hunted that morning, saw a few deer. Don't know for sure it was him. Saw a good buck way off through the woods. And I was like, man, I've got to change something up. So I walked in a totally different spot. I mean, I knew of it, but I didn't hunt it really. And I was walking up this point, and I started looking up in trees, trying to pick the one. And a deer jumped up. Well, it runs off. I throw my gun up, look at it. And it was like a 4 or 6 pointer. Well, then another deer runs off, and there's a doe. I threw my gun up, looked at her. I was like, huh. So I just sit there a minute, and they're just standing there looking at me. Well, I look up the ridge, and this deer's just trotting out through there. I threw my gun up, and I was like, holy cow. Knew instantly it was him. And he slowed down a little bit, and I shot, dropped him in his tracks. And this is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was just like, no way, that's that deer. It's him, for sure. But he was no doubt 7.5, maybe 8.5 years old. So
that's wild. For
he
a Tennessee
means a
deer,
lot
too.
to me. Yeah. He's like 9 inches inside wide, but he's a 148-inch deer. Just points everywhere.
That's wild.
And he actually, the guy that got me into the recurves, he does some taxidermy kind of on the side just when he feels like it. So we mounted that deer together. He means quite a bit to me. He's pedestal mounted. I built the pedestal for it. Pretty slick. He sits in the bedroom.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing that one come across my feed, and I was like, holy crap. I assumed he was in Ohio or somewhere when I was scrolling. That's one heck of a deer, man. So you mentioned your wife being so cool with everything. Now, what's her role on the taxidermy now? Because I know you've killed a lot of great deer.
You probably shouldn't ask that question. There's no rules on that, really. My house is pretty wild. I'm pretty redneck. It's my kitchen right here. So there's deer hanging in it. There's 4 or 5 in the bedroom. There's actually 4 in my girl's playroom. 4 shoulder mounts sitting in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've got too much. Not even counting the European mounts. There's deer everywhere in here.
That's a good problem to have.
That's probably the most meaningful deer to me. And the mounts up there with anything. I've got a lot of money in taxidermy, and that deer that we mounted together, he looks good. It's sharp. He does a good job. But I'll send you some pictures of him, a lot more.
Yeah,
He's pretty wild. He's got the side where he had that big kicker over here, which both sides are jacked up the year I killed him. But it's like 8.5 inches at the base. Just crazy mass.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Seth, we appreciate you hopping on here. You're a guy that I think anybody could learn from. I've watched you do it consistently for a long time, so I appreciate you hopping on here. And this year we'll have to link up for a turkey hunt. I've got plenty of spots. I just got to get you before you run out of tags.
I'll save a few.
You let me know, man.
No, I appreciate y'all having me on. It's been good.
I appreciate you coming on too, buddy. Hopefully my audio is going out right now where you can hear me thanking you.
Yeah, I hear you. I got you.
Awesome, buddy. I appreciate it. And for everybody listening. We'll be back again next week for episode 100. And then after episode 100, it's on to Spring Thunder. We got some really great guests lined up for Spring Thunder. Some turkey talk for the next little bit before turkey season gets here. But we'll see you guys here again next week.
Sounds good. Y'all have a good one.
Hold on there. So it's lagging on him even hitting